The Pentagon released its report on UFO sightings today, saying an additional 366 sightings have been investigated since 2021.
Okay, so we have UFO incursions all over the United States. And I promise you, this is a topic that I know more about than almost anyone. And I'm going to give you a bunch of relevant information that you're not going to hear in any of these mainstream media outlets because they don't know. Like they don't, there's no way that a person who is writing a story about these incidents right now could possibly have the time to research the amount of stuff that I've researched in the last 20 years on this topic. And there's a ton of relevant information that's not necessarily, it doesn't lead to any specific conclusion, but it's extraordinarily relevant. Like, you're going to come out of this video knowing a lot more than you did before, and you can go and validate every single thing that I tell you on this video, because if you live on planet Earth, if you live on planet Earth and you're not curious what this is, then I don't know what to tell you. But I will tell you a lot of things related to the Chinese spy balloon and where these things are being shot down. Maelstrom Air Base, one of the biggest ICBM bases in the United States, intercontinental ballistic missiles, nuclear armed, which is a hotbed for UFOs always. Always. Now, if this is all sounding totally crazy to you, just give it a video and then go validate every single thing that I say afterwards, because I'm not going to tell you anything that you won't be able to easily validate afterwards. Okay. Now, as far as it being on this channel, look, I lost Jesse on Everything, my second channel, very recently. It was soul crushing. I keep feeling worse about it every single day. I thought I was going to feel better. I feel worse. I had been advised to combine the two channels, so that's what I'm doing. Okay. It is what it is. I'm combining the two channels. I'm not going to do any kind of politics, nothing like that on this channel, nothing about any medical stuff, nothing, just pop culture. And certainly if they're doing the UFO narrative on CNN, I'm talking about it. It just is what it is, dude. So now, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. Let's shake on it. You can have access to all of my content. All you have to do is click subscribe, and it is what it is. Like, you can have it all. It's free. All right, handshake. Thank you very much. Now just live up to your end of the bargain. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys. And thank you to all of my viewers. I really appreciate all of you guys. So here's the deal. So they're saying that they've shot down four or five, I don't know, 4 or 5 UFOs over Michigan, Lake Michigan, Montana. Montana's the big one, though, because they keep saying that they're shutting down all of Montana's airspace. Now, why is that relevant? Like I said, Maelstrom is like the ICBM. I'm pretty sure it's either our biggest or second biggest ICBM installment in the entire country. Okay. That's where we would launch ICBMs into the air. Now, if you don't know what an ICBM is, like I said, intercontinental ballistic missile is a nuclear armed missile that goes into outer space and goes woo, gets over whatever country we're aiming it at. And then, like, depending on the weapon, 6 to 10 independently targeted nuclear warheads will go boop, 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 wee, and then evaporate the cities that they land on. Okay. So one missile can evaporate half a dozen up to a dozen cities. One missile. And these will get to their target in 30 minutes. That's how fast they are. Okay. So it is our most important strategic military installment in terms of defense, right? In terms of like why no one wants to attack us. And ever since we have invented nuclear weapons in the mid 40s, those places have been a hotbed for UFO incursions or whatever. Okay. Now, the reason why I believe this is true is because of the number of reports by the number of credible sources. Like, look, I am incompetent in many ways. Okay. I have lots of personality flaws, lots of personality flaws. I am unorganized. I am stupid in many categories. I try to push things on people. I do all kinds of idiotic stuff. Right. But one thing I am exceptional at is being able to pick out BS. Like, when I see something coming through, it's like, if someone has an ulterior motive, I will pick it out instantly. Like, I'll just be like, or at the very least, I'll be suspicious. It's not like I don't have 100% accuracy, but I'm at least suspicious. And when it comes to these reports, the specific ones that I'll go through in this video, these are beyond reproach. There's too many people that saw it. What they saw is impossible to have been anything other than this. when they happen, because a lot of times, like, I'll start talking to people, they're like, nah, it's probably China or Russia technology. I'm like, dude, this happened in 1972, dude. Or this one happened in 1986. Okay. Or this thing, the thing that we're talking about is 2 miles wide, dude. Like, no. This one, the guy said that the thing went from here to over the horizon in the amount of time it would take for you to blink. Okay. In the time, like he said, he was probably going 30,000 miles an hour, like, and had made no noise and had no means of propulsion. And in every one of these cases, we're talking about bulletproof witnesses where you're like, that's too many people. Or if this person is crazy, then we have way bigger problems because they're responsible for launching ICBMs, dude. Like, they're the most credible people. So, again, the reports are credible. Is this report credible? I have lots of problems with the idea that this is an alien incursion, okay? And I'll tell you exactly why. And the main reason is because we're shooting them down, okay? The main reason is because we're shooting them down. So I'll start with a couple examples of these, incursions over nuclear bases that are very, very, like, really crazy examples. The most insane one, in my opinion, is the Rendlesham Forest one. Okay, so that's a nuclear base in the UK. It's an American base in the UK. It's in the Rendlesham Forest. We had tons of nuclear weapons there. And in a nutshell, about 200 people saw these crafts coming in and, like, scanning our weapons, like shooting lasers in and scanning. Anytime that they would come near them, they would go, psh. Every single person who saw them was like, that is impossible that this was human technology. So a group of people on one of the nights, so there was UFO reports like this first night, right? So they bring in this guy who's the colonel. He's the colonel, okay? Because so many people were reporting this flying saucer or these things that are darting around. They're like, I don't know what else to say. There are UFOs in our airspace coming down over the base, hovering. They bring in this colonel who's supposed to be the square guy who's going to basically put this whole thing to bed, right? The next night, they're back. The UFOs are back. And this colonel himself and a couple other guys, they go out and they followed this thing around. And this colonel then became one of the biggest whistleblowers of all time, where he was like, you guys don't understand. It's impossible that this is human. He has the recording from the night. Just go look up the Rendlesham Forest story. In that same story, another group was in the forest and they found a UFO landed. Okay, they said it was like the size of like a small or large like dinner table. It was a triangle. This thing was on the ground for 45 minutes. They said they had like hieroglyphics on it and they drew them all. These are all, again, it's like a captain and 2 other guys. These are all guys who work on a military base that shoots nuclear weapons if we order it, right? And they said that after about 45 minutes, they said there was static electricity all around it. That is something that is very, very, very consistent. I'll tell you what the most consistent things that people report in these credible sources are: static electricity in the air, tons of static electricity in the air if they get anywhere near them, and no noise at all. Like these crafts, they fly with they have no visible means of propulsion, and they fly dead silent. So they said that there's static electricity all in the air. They're looking at this thing, and then all of a sudden, after they were literally looking around this thing, they said for 45 minutes, and all of a sudden it went like this. It just went and shot into the air at a speed. He wrote in his notebook, impossible. That's how he characterized the speed that this thing flew off at. It's an insane story. Okay, that's just one. There are dozens of stories about these things coming near ICBM bases, and again, Montana being the airspace that this is happening in is very notable. Now, Michigan, I haven't looked up whether or not there's a nuclear, an ICBM base in Michigan, but I don't know. You guys can look it up yourselves. But I don't necessarily think that matters, because the other thing that is very common, or has been common in these stories, is that if we ever try to engage with these things at all, their capabilities are so out of this world that's how we know that it's not like this. You can't explain it away as human technology. And so, okay, like as an example, there's a story in Iran, and you could look this one up too. I believe this is in like 1972, if I'm not mistaken, or I'm sorry, 82. And one of the Iranian pilots went up and as soon as he came up on this flying saucer and went to engage with it, they shut down his entire weapon system. Okay. Now this is something that happens at ICBM bases. I'll tell you about that in a second too. So he shut down the entire weapon system. So he's trying to engage with it. And as soon as he gets to where he could basically lock onto it, they shut the weapon system down. And he was like, and then as soon as he flew away, it turned back on. He turned back around. They shut it down again. And then he turned back. Like I mean, I've seen this guy testify. He's not lying, man. Like he's not making this up. So, and one of the other things is very notable about how, like other stories about them coming to, I can't remember the name of there's an American base where a very similar type of thing to Rendlesham Forest happened, where they had a flying saucer come down and it was hovering over the ICBMs and it shut down 7 of them all at once. Okay. Like it shut down 7 ICBMs all at once. Now, what's notable about that is that each of these things is independently powered. So they've built these bases in a way where you couldn't just like shut down one grid to take out their ability to respond. So each one is powered independently. Okay. So to shut down all of them, it has to be some kind of like EMP or something, but it only shut down 7 of them. It didn't shut down all of it, shut down like 7 of them or something like that. And then when they, took off, it went back on. In the Soviet Union, they had an incident where a UFO hovered over them and they turned on the launch pattern. Like it just hovered over and it turned on the launch pattern. Where it was like counting down and then it took off and then it turned off. It's almost like they're telling us, you're like, what are you doing, you guys? Like, what are you doing? What on earth are you doing? Why do you have these things? What are you doing? So another story, very, very credible one. And this one I saw on Larry King on CNN is this guy's a captain and he was part of the Air Force. He was part of the Air Force photography group or something like that. I don't know. He's responsible for capturing ICBM test flights. Okay. So if I'm not mistaken, this was on the peninsula in California. I know it was in California, like on the coast somewhere. So they fired this ICBM and they're filming. He said that they captured it perfect. They didn't see anything when they were filming with the naked eye. And they're like, okay, great. They turned the film over to the general or the colonel, whatever, whoever's in charge of this thing. The guy calls the captain who was responsible for it into his office and goes, so what's up, man? Look up Larry King UFO. Okay, look up like Larry King UFO and then watch a couple of those because this guy is on there and he tells his story. Listen. Okay, this guy's not lying. Look, if on the episode that he was on, Bill Nye, the science guy, was on there, and Bill Nye tried to play the skeptic to these guys. The guy from Rendlesham Forest is on. This guy who witnessed this thing that I'm telling you about, and 2 other guys that are like high level military guys. And Bill Nye's like, listen, guys, listen, and they just, bro, they annihilated Bill Nye, annihilated him. Like Bill, I don't think Bill Nye had any idea what he was walking into. They're all, hey, do you want to come on the Larry King show and be the skeptic? He's all, sure. And they ate him alive, dude. And this guy especially. So the guy said that as the ICBM is when you actually went frame for frame, a flying disc came into the shot, fired a laser into the front of the ICBM, went around it. Keep in mind, you don't understand how fast an ICBM goes. It would go from here to Russia in 30 minutes. Okay. From here to Russia in 30 minutes. How long would it take to fly to Russia? Okay. It goes there in 30 minutes. That's how fast it goes. And it said it was going whoop, shot a laser, whoop, shot another laser, whoop, shot another laser. And the thing tumbled out of the sky. Okay. So, and you could only see it frame by frame. He said it was crystal clear. He said it was a disc, like it was a little disc with a little bubble on the top, and it shot like it was indistinguishable. So, I'm sorry, not like irrefutable. Sorry. He also, after he did this report, the general or the colonel who I can't remember what the rank of the guy who he reported it to. So years after he started reporting this, that guy wrote a letter and verified that this happened. Okay, so. That's another one. That was from like the 80s. Okay, that's another one. So I don't know if they're monitoring our nuclear weapons to protect us. I don't know if they're, I don't know. Like, who knows? How could anyone know? How could anyone know what this is? How would you know? Like, assuming that the phenomenon is real, right? Assuming that it's real, how could you possibly know whether they're from the future, from another dimension, from another planet, from another galaxy? How could you possibly know? How could you possibly know, right? There's no way to know. There's no way to know. What I can say pretty efficiently, pretty confidently, is that they're not going to let us shoot them down. Okay, you understand how rudimentary our stuff is compared to what they have. These things, these real stories, like we're talking about, like it's the equivalent of like 20 cavemen that are 250 yards away with sticks, and you've got a line of SEAL Team 6 with AR-15s aimed at their head before they even start running. It is impossible. Like it is impossible. There's no possible way that we're going to be able to shoot 4 of them out of the sky. It's not like, how? Okay? How? Now, there have been these reports all the time that there are all these radar incursions. This is very common. And this is like common knowledge now, because in this, ever since 2017, 2018, they've started coming out and reporting on this stuff. Like the CIA, Chris Mellon, and whatever the guy that was working with DeLonge, the singer of Blink-182, Tom DeLonge. So Tom DeLonge came out, and he's working with Chris Mellon, who is the Mellon family, which is like, I'm pretty sure the Mellons might have even been on Jekyll Island creating the Federal Reserve. Like, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about like the absolute most premier families in the United States. And he's with this guy, I can't remember his name. It starts with an E anyway, but like this guy is a CIA agent. This guy's like the deputy director of national intelligence or whatever. And they're going around, they're doing podcasts. They did Rogan's podcast, and they're talking about UFOs, and they're talking about a lot of these stories. And you got to just, like there was the gimbal tape, like they caught one on video, which you can't really see what it is, but there's one where you've got like this UFO that kind of is flying and then kind of turns. It's a weird video. I don't know. I mean, the bottom line is, though, the whole time that they were going public, I'm like, why are they doing this? Which brings us to now, right? Because I've been very suspicious. Like, what are these guys doing? Like, I don't understand. Why is this so important that they're spreading, like they've been so secretive about UFOs forever, or just like laugh them off, even though all these, I mean, what could be more important to national security than understanding highly, technology that vastly superior to ours, incurring on our ICBM airspace and then shutting down nuclear weapons? What could possibly be a higher priority than that? And they never would talk about it. I mean, there's enough reports that it's true. At least it's got to be. It has to be. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you got these guys doing a tour on CNN and every other channel talking about oh yeah, and then we had this incident and this one, listen, like I don't know. We don't really know what they are, but it's like, what is the purpose of this? Like, what is the purpose? And people have all been speculating, like, this is some kind of setup. Like, these guys all of a sudden doing a publicity tour on this has to be some kind of setup, which is why this story is so concerning to me. Like, this story is very concerning, because I don't believe that we would be able to shoot what I'm talking about out of the sky. I don't believe it. And they are very clearly implying that that's what it is, which is really weird. They just did the Chinese spy balloon. Now, let me ask you this. Okay. Now, just to play devil's advocate, that what if it was these things that have been reported forever, hovering at 80,000. I mean, there was a story from a couple of years ago about these things that can go from 80,000 feet down to sea level in 1 second. Okay. Now, does that sound familiar to the Rendlesham Forest? He said like this, and then it shoots up, and he said impossible. The speed was impossible, dead silent, So they're saying these are all on radar. These are verified radar blips, 80,000 feet down to sea level, just like that. Okay. So if it's one of those, right, and maybe they've just been hovering in a place where we're like, what are they doing? The Chinese spy balloon theoretically could be some kind of pre-psyop to shooting at these things, where it's like, do we got to shoot these things down? It's like, well, what are we going to say? I don't know. Let's just throw up some huge Chinese spy balloon first so that we can explain shooting these things down, and maybe people, but then now they're coming out and being like, we can't exclude aliens. You're like, what on earth? I have no idea what's going on. I have absolutely no idea what's going on. But it's very concerning to me because, listen, if you've been paying attention for the last few years, listen, dude, like we just came out of a multi-year period where everything that we took for granted was all of a sudden just like, hey guys, I know you're used to being able to leave your house when you want to, but you can't do that. You're like, all right, everybody just did it. Everyone's like, all right, will stay home for months and months and months. So a thing like this that essentially is the same, like what, you know, if you think about what happened between 2020 and now, you know, or like that was a thing that globally everyone did. Like everyone just did. It was like stay in your house, and everyone did. So when something like this happens and it doesn't really make sense, like, I mean, I don't know, dude. Like, I mean, it could be something really simple where it's like this, these are Chinese spy balloons that are smaller. But if you just announced publicly that you shot down this huge Chinese spy balloon, why would you not be open and honest about the fact that that's what these things are? You know what I mean? Like, I honestly don't understand. I don't understand. And they are very hard selling the alien thing, which doesn't make sense either, because aliens, they're not going to let you shoot them out of the air. They're like, why would they let you? So what on earth is going on? What is going on? What on earth is going on? You know what I mean? Like, what is it? I don't even have a theory. Gabrielle does. She thinks we're about to get hit with an EMP. I mean, you know, I don't know if there's necessary. I mean, that actually was not a crazy idea in terms of, because with the Chinese spy balloon, again, they could just spy on us with satellites. What do they need a spy balloon for? So that whole thing made no sense to me either, unless it was holding some kind of payload, you know, an EMP payload or something. But like, I don't know, dude. I mean, none of this makes any sense, because listen, let me tell you why the EMP thing doesn't make sense. Okay. I'll tell you exactly why the EMP thing doesn't make sense. The reason that no one attacks the United States, not on the mainland, is because we can hit them from anywhere. Okay. Like, we can hit people with nuclear weapons from anywhere. Even if you EMP'd our entire mainland, Alaska, Hawaii, and all of the American mainland, we have submarines cruising around in the water all the time, with many, 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 many nuclear tipped torpedoes, missiles. Like, unless a country thinks that they could EMP our mainland and take out our entire submarine and nuclear weapons on battleships all at once, which is impossible, and all of our nuclear weapons that we have globally, which is impossible, then the EMP thing makes no sense. It just doesn't make any sense. If it's China, right? The only way that they could get away with doing this is if they sold it that it was like aliens. Now, I don't know why anyone would want to do that. I really don't. I honestly don't know why. I don't know why anyone would want to do that. Before anybody comments this in the thing, be careful, dude. This is why you got strikes on the other channel. This is not why I got strikes on the other channel. This is not why I got strikes on the other channel at all. Trust me. I know exactly what happened over there. There's a one topic you are not allowed to talk about. That's where all of my strikes came from. I'm not ever talking about that ever again. But you know, like, I don't know, like if it's some kind of thing where they're trying to reset the world, they want to implement a new system and whatever, all of that stuff relies on electronics to be able to do that. Do you know what I mean? Like, if they're like, no, they want to make one global digital currency and it's like, right. Okay. Well, how are you going to do that if you knock out all of the electronics in the, like, it doesn't make any sense that you can't do that. You would not be like, if something gets hit with an EMP, it can't come back. Do you understand that? Like, if an EMP hits your car, it can't come back. There's no like fixing it. It's done with. Anything gets hit with an EMP is donezo, fried permanently. So an EMP attack knocks out all of the digital infrastructure, period. Right? So, you know, like, I don't know, man. Nothing makes any sense anymore. I don't know what I'm looking at. All I know is that I know a lot about the UFO thing, and I'm not buying. I'm not buying that that's what these are. I'm just not buying it. They wouldn't let us shoot them out of the sky. Why would they? If they could shoot up to 80,000 feet in a millisecond, why would they just sit there? They're all, oh, you know, like, if you can go that fast, getting hit with an American missile is like, it's going in slow motion. It's like that, you know, like the Flash. And like the Flash is like, you know, when it's running, everything looks like it's like it's like that. It's like, you know, they're just looking at it. It's all, oh, geez, looks like that American missile. Ooh, we're in danger. They're all, well, should we move? It's like, I don't know. I mean, maybe we should let's just hang out. It's like, all right, it should hit us at some point. They're all, yeah. It's ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, that's what I have for now. Now I'm going to do a video that's much less serious about Rihanna's big body. Her big body. try not to get on the wrong side of the body positivity people, but I mean, you know, like, who's just gonna have to talk about that. So